Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Flop Sports Podcast. We have a special guest with us today, but first, we're going to run through our DraftKings really quick.
DraftKings not looking so hot this week because no one had Derrick Henry on their team. I mean, you didn't have Derrick Henry on your team, right?
No, I did not.
No. I was going 50-50. I couldn't pick between Dion Lewis and Derrick Henry. So of course I went Dion Lewis, and that's pretty much this all she wrote there.
Yeah,
I'm interested to see. Yeah, a couple people did have Derrick Henry as their captains, and so Derrick Henry had 76 points if you had him as your captain. So
yeah, he by himself scored more than my entire team, so that's good.
No, same. Yeah. So not a good week for either of us, but I guess you get the win this week. All right. Well. Danny, I don't know what you've been doing this week, but we are dealing with the snowstorm of the century in my mind here on the East Coast, and joining us now is someone else over on the East Coast, so someone that can share in kind of some of the sympathy, I guess, is Mr. Parker Tobin. Parker, welcome to the pod.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Did you get any snow up there?
So I've actually been in South Carolina for the last week or so.
You have no snow.
We just had that cold, horrible rain. It's been like 37 and rainy and horrible.
No, I would take that over today. I had to go to the UVA VCU game today to cover it, but when I got back out there was at least like a foot of snow on my car, so I couldn't go anywhere. So it was tough sledding out there. You know what I mean?
It's been tough here too.
Yeah.
Dropped into the 60s, so that was rough.
Yeah, Danny.
Tough life, Danny.
That's why I don't care about you. All right, getting on to the big three. We have got, first up, Mike McDaniels, the Packers coach, fired this past week. So first, reactions to that. Parker, we'll start with you since you're the guest.
It seems like Aaron Rodgers is going to be a really great head coach, I think. Whoever they brings in, it seems like is going to, be second fiddle to Aaron Rodgers, even though he's like 34, 35, Preston.
Yeah,
so
about that age.
I mean, he's probably got like 2 or 3 more years, and so he's got a short window. Next coach is going to have to win now.
He's got longer than that. I mean, when you think about how long Tom Brady is gone, Rodgers can go at least to he's 40, right?
Whoa, he is no Tom Brady. Settle down.
All right, fine.
He's
then
no
Drew
Tom
Brees.
Brady,
what about Drew Brees? Can he go as long as Drew Brees?
And his collarbone. He has a lot of collarbone issues. He's one tackle away from, getting re-injured and probably having to call it quits,
Well, fair enough. I do think, this whole package situation with Mike McDaniels, he's been a good coach, but it just seems like they'd reached that, that kind of edge, and like they couldn't go any further with him. So it was
plateaued.
Yeah, exact plateaued. Thank you. They reached the peak, Danny, if you will, right?
They did. They reached the Blue Mountain State peak.
That was the peak. Yep. So moving on to the next one. Earlier this week,
I have a question for you, Preston. If you're going to be hired for a head coach, would you rather be the Browns head coach with Baker Mayfield, or would you rather be the Packers head coach with Aaron Rodgers?
Knowing my coaching capabilities with football, I'd go Browns because I'm gonna get fired anyway. So might as well make it fun while it lasts. All right, okay, next up in the big three, Kevin Durant earlier this week. I don't know if y'all heard about these comments that he made. I think some of them have been taken out of context, but that's just my personal opinion. Basically saying the media around LeBron and like the environment with the media around LeBron, it's kind of toxic. Basically calling, Here, we'll just take the direct quote. He has so many fanboys in the media, even the beat writers just fawn over him. And basically he was saying these comments in an article by Rick Bucher, which is a great article, I highly suggest it. That's in my Recs of the week. But basically that players don't want to go play with LeBron because of this media attention that he gets. Danny, what do you think about that?
For once, I can finally agree with Kevin Durant on something, so this is fantastic. He's definitely correct. LeBron, we all know he brings a lot of pressure. He gave Ty Lue an anxiety attack and gave Kevin Love mental health issues, so it's pretty self-evident.
Yeah, and he made Mike Brown look like a bad coach. Oh, wait, no, he is. Never mind. Yeah, Parker, real quick, your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. He's really tough to play with because, I mean, part of that I think is he's so good, but he also requires the ball so much. I mean, if I'm one of these guys, I'm probably trying to play with Kawhi Leonard next year instead of LeBron.
Nah, I don't know about you two. As the resident,
obviously you love LeBron.
As the resident LeBron homer here, I would not classify myself as a fanboy in the media. Like, I can be tough on the guy. Like, there's certain things, and I will agree with KD. It presents a challenge as a player, as another star, to play with LeBron. But on the flip side of it, how many stars have played with LeBron? You've got Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, maybe some others sprinkled in there and there, but basically
Kyle Korver is a star. Come on,
Kyle Korver, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Luke Walton, when he was playing, he played with LeBron. He was a star.
Yeah. His father maybe, but
someone with the last name Walton. But yeah, I think these comments were kind of taken out of context too, because a lot of people took it to mean Kevin Durant would not want to play with LeBron, and I disagree. I don't think that's what that's saying. He's saying you got to have a certain kind of mindset to be able to play with a guy like LeBron. And I think Kevin Durant is one of those guys that can play with LeBron. I think he's more talking about maybe like a Jimmy Butler or a Kawhi Leonard, guys with those bigger egos that, are going to take offense to more things than not. So that's just my opinion.
Do you think KD could play with LeBron and could do it successfully?
Oh, for sure. I mean, you're talking about the two best players in the league. I think they would play well off each other. And someone brought it up the other day that they play the same position. And it's like, so? Like, half the guys on the Golden State Warriors play the same position, but
that's true.
They make it work. They play. The death ball lineup is the death ball lineup because all those guys play the same position. So I think they would coexist well, especially in a market like LA. Like, there's plenty of media to go around for people. Also, you got to think about Kevin Durant. He's not had the best relationship with the media, so he's probably gonna say more stuff like this. Real quick,
and
another
he's got
guy.
His titles now, so yeah.
Yeah, he's got them. He'll probably get another one this year. Also this week, another player who may not have gotten along well with the media, or had some interesting run-ins with the media, Allen Iverson, came out with a Players Tribune article. Also, in my Rex of the Week, we'll talk more about it later. But he also, in that article, had his all-time starting five. And now I want y'all to listen to this because y'all probably, I don't know if you saw it or not, but here we go. Point guard Steph Curry, then Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal. Yay or nay? Danny?
Oh, this is a strong nay. Kobe Bryant doesn't belong on any top 5, 15, or 100 lists, that's for sure.
I appreciated Stephen A. Smith. Parker, what do you think about that list?
I'm not sure Steph Curry would be my one, and I'm not sure Kobe would be in mine. I think I agree with the other three. The only person that I have a hard time of not including, I think, is maybe Tim Duncan. I think he might deserve to be in there. And then I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of scoring there, so I might rather have an assist-minded point guard than Steph Curry, but that's just me.
Yeah, a lot of people brought up Magic Johnson at the point guard position. And I think kind of what people landed on is like in this day of, shooting and stuff, maybe that's why AI went with Steph Curry. But you got to think about it because all these guys that he had on the list, except for Michael Jordan, his first go around, not with the Washington Wizards, they all play in the 2000s to, now. So it's kind of interesting how recent a lot of these guys are. Obviously Kobe and Shaq, LeBron and Steph still playing. And Michael, he did touch the 2000s with the Wizards. It wasn't his best years, but he was there.
This is all recency bias. Where's Will Chamberlain? Where's Bill Russell? Where's Jerry West?
Yeah. I wasn't sure about Shaq either. I think Shaq was a very dominant player, but I would have gone Kareem. I mean, he's the all-time leading scorer.
I think though that Shaq is single-handedly the hardest player to guard that the league has ever seen.
That's true, but what's the hardest Hack-a-Shaq
came about. Hack-a-Shaq came about because theoretically, if he could shoot free throws, he would probably be in the discussion for the best player of all time.
Yeah. But what's the hardest shot all time to guard? It's the skyhook.
Probably the skyhook.
Yeah. It's iconic. All right, we're getting into the NFL quick hits now. We talked about Aaron Rodgers earlier, and last week, Parker, I know you weren't here, but Danny brought up how LeBron, sometimes just shrugs off play calls in the huddle, and I was so happy to see this storyline the next day after we recorded the podcast. Aaron Rodgers also changes play calls at the line of scrimmage and in the huddles, and just flat out ignores McCarthy a lot of the time. So. What do y'all think of, kind of Rodgers' persona as this guy that kind of does his own thing?
LeBron of the NFL, that's for sure.
Seems like that's what some of the best quarterbacks do, though, right? I mean, that's the whole Omaha of Peyton Manning, changing plays at the line.
Yeah, I mean that's. I think this is more like he got the play call called in, and he would just kind of ignore it altogether.
I mean, the media is kind of making him into the villain right now, which every league needs a villain. So
that's true. I mean, when you compare the guys like who makes Drew Brees into a villain, you can't really do that. But Aaron Rodgers, sure, absolutely, he's kind of standoffish and whatnot, so he can go for it. Danny, talk to me about this Packers assistant coach who got fired.
Yeah, there's an assistant coach for the Packers, and he sent out this really cryptic tweet. I'll read it really quick. He said, "Ponder this, ... What championship teams have great leadership? Period. It's not the offensive guru trend. It's not the safe trend. Find somebody that is going to hold number 12 and everybody in this building to a Lombardi standard. Period. # losing sucks." When this first came out, it was interpreted as some shots fired at Aaron Rodgers. Later clarified and said it was actually shots fired at Green Bay fans. What do you guys think?
Too late. He's fired.
Yeah, sucks for him because he's the one that got fired, right? So
yeah, pretty much over from there. I mean, that's all I have to say. But big name wide receiver going out with an injury, AJ Green. Danny, you put the hashtag Hugh Jackson curse. I'm not sure about that, but AJ Green, definitely a big time receiver. Kind of ends the Bengals season, don't you think?
Somebody's got to get a high draft pick. Might as well be the Bengals.
Hey, my Falcons my Falcons are making a run at it, so.
They're 0-3 or 0-4 without AJ Green. So yeah, I mean, if they weren't done before, they're definitely done now.
Yeah, thankfully the Falcons got to play them while they still had AJ Green, and so he was able to catch the game-winning touchdown against them.
Salty.
Classic Falcons.
Hashtag not bitter. Blake Bortles no longer in the Jags' long-term plan, but I don't know if they forgot, but they signed him to a multi-year contract this summer. I was kind of surprised by that contract before, but I mean, obviously, I think everyone could have said, yeah, Blake Bortles, of course, he's not in your long-term plan. But how did they get out of this one?
Pay him off. Whoever is the agent for Blake Bortles is a great negotiator, apparently.
Probably one of the best in the league. Like if I'm a player and I need money right now, I'm going for Blake Bortles'
I'm going to that
agent.
guy. Whoever Blake Bortles' agent is great at his job.
I personally think we can single-handedly thank the Blake Bortles Facts Twitter account. I think that created so much fandom for Blake Bortles that you could not get rid of him.
That might be his agent. I'm not sure. Never has Blake Bortles not signed a long-term contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Speaking of quarterbacks, Redskins, they lost another one in Colt McCoy. They started Mark Sanchez today. He throws an interception, return for a touchdown. Then Josh Johnson, the other guy they brought in this week, he goes in, throws an interception. And they could have had Colin Kaepernick. So what do you think about Jay Gruden saying that Colin Kaepernick's skill set was not right for the Redskins? Is it just more, kind of the league trying to avoid Kaepernick? Or, I mean, what do you think? What do you think, Parker?
I think it's the league turning their back on Kaepernick, absolutely. I mean, to say that he is not capable of being a second-string quarterback or a third-string quarterback in the NFL is ludicrous. I mean, it probably goes back to all of the kneeling stuff and just no team wants him,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, and he said he's not a right fit for this system, but Mark Sanchez is. Like,
yeah,
the system that Jay Gruden runs is a lot of it's a very West Coast style, and obviously it's related to his dad's system, and that's kind of what Colin Kaepernick ran under Jim Harbaugh out in San Francisco. Like, this is perfect for Colin Kaepernick, and you're telling me he can't run it?
Yeah, I mean, assuming he can actually, get his helmet on, then I think he's ready to go in and play the game,
Yeah, it depends how...
He'd be better than Josh Johnson, who, by the way, was barely good enough to be the third-string quarterback for the Bucs back in the day, and that's saying something.
No, I agree. All right, moving on. We talked about him last week, Kareem Hunt. Danny, why don't you give us a quick rundown what's going on with Hunt this week?
Yeah, I think, now we're getting into the rumor mill of the NFL with Kareem Hunt. So will he be back? Won't he? We're definitely hearing anonymous executives saying he'll definitely be back at some point because the NFL can't have someone that talented not in the league, regardless of what they've done. And then obviously we're getting the classic news of him starting treatment, counseling program, community service, etc. So that's where we're at right now. But Parker, do you want to lend any of your professional expertise to the situation?
So my understanding is that he did not plead guilty to any crimes. That being said, the video was released, and it showed obviously that he assaulted her and battered her. This being the woman. It seems like it's in vein of the Ray Rice and the Ezekiel Elliott contacts that those guys had with other women. Certainly they both got shots to get back into the league. I think that this video is particularly heinous. To kick a woman when she's on the ground is obviously something that the three of us would agree is something that should not be done.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, Danny. I think that at the end of the day, the league, 1 year from now is probably, or even less than that, a team's going to be in the playoff hunt. They're going to lose their starting running back, and they're going to want some guy to be able to step in and produce, and he can do that. And they're going to leave integrity and morality out the door to get wins and get money.
See, this is where I disagree. I think that Ray Rice never got a second shot in the NFL. Once that video came out,
but he was old. But he was old. Though.
He was older, sure. I still don't think Kareem Hunt is going to get a second chance. I just don't see a world where just kind of with how things have gone in the past. I think he's done, and he might try to make up his image in other ways. But I think as far as football, I don't know. It seems like it's a long shot right now, and I can kind of say I don't think it'll be next year. It could be the year after that, but from now, I think the league's gonna have to be like take a chill pill for now, and like maybe we'll call you later.
You don't think if there's a playoff contender who needs a running back goes down with an injury, that team doesn't call up Kareem Hunt?
If Kareem Hunt was a quarterback, absolutely, but he's not. He's a running back, and we all know one thing about running backs in this league is you can get them anywhere. You can get them, undrafted. You can get them in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round. I mean, Kareem Hunt was drafted late in his draft, so I mean, there's a point.
I think, yeah.
There was a point. There's a point there. Like, you can get running backs anywhere. You can get free agent running backs that come in and give you a great run. Like, so I think if he was a quarterback, maybe, or a star pass rusher, like we remember Greg Hardy. He got a second chance, but he's a star pass rusher. I think running back's a tough spot because, like, I get what you're saying. Like, I think the league would take a chance on the talent, obviously, but I think at this spot, they might have a little bit more flexibility.
Well, I hope you're right, because I don't think he should play in the league anymore. I think if you kick a woman when she's on the ground, that should be a one strike you're out policy. I just am not as optimistic as you, I think.
There we go. let's skip over to the NFC East. Obviously, this is pretty much a mess right now. And today, Dallas goes to overtime with the Eagles, and they get the win there. And then Eli Manning and the Giants just destroy the Redskins today. So, what do we make of the NFC East overall, Danny?
The NFC East is entertaining, as always. And
they have the biggest media markets out of all the divisions, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not entertaining because of media. It's entertaining because every team's a disaster every year, but someone has to make the playoffs out of it. And this year, that team's going to be Dallas.
Danny, you can't say every team's a disaster because the Eagles, they won the Super Bowl over your Patriots last year.
That was a disaster season for them. But
gotta love Nick Foles.
Should they go back to Nick Foles? Maybe, I don't know. I'm getting off track, but
I mean, Carson looked good today. I mean, Amari Cooper though, man, he was horrible in Oakland. And dang, is he playing well in Dallas.
Yep, had him on the bench in one of my leagues today, so I'm proud of that.
What was he, 200 yards and 2 touchdowns,
yeah,
something
had about
like that?
43 points, and so I would have had 200 points. Right now I'm like in a 1-point game, and like that could have ended it for me. But
it would have been the Derrick Henry of your league.
Yeah, I was like, I could start him, but I got Julian Edelman. Danny.
Well, I mean...
What do you have against Jules?
Yeah,
I don't know. Why don't we talk about the Miami Miracle as it is? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So the Patriots losing to the Miami Dolphins today. I mean, that's not really the storyline because the Patriots find a way to lose the Miami Dolphins a lot. But this is a unique way, Danny. Why don't you relive it for us right now?
Oh, good. Now I feel like Ty Lue. So essentially, the Patriots are up by, I think, I forget how many points, but they're up by a couple points. Miami's on their own 30-yard line. There's 7 seconds on the clock. The camera cuts to Tom Brady and the ball boy like giggling on the sideline because they think the game is over. And then Miami has an all-time, lateral, passing the ball, scores on a 69-yard play, and the Patriots lose as time runs out. And I cried.
I mean, I love it. Anytime the Patriots lose, right, Parker?
Yeah. I mean, I think we learned 2 things. Kenyon Drake is very fast, and Rob Gronkowski should not play defense.
Yep. I got to be honest. I have been at work all day and stuck in the snow, and so I'm just watching this play. But yeah, Rob Gronkowski, not even close, man. Not even close.
He stumbled. It was hilarious to watch. You're like, man, is this guy a good tight end? Man, is he a bad defensive back?
Yep. I mean, stick with what you're good at, right?
Yeah. But I'm assuming they had him in there for the Hail Mary, jump ball play to knock it down.
For sure.
But...
And good for the Miami Dolphins for not doing the Hail Mary because, I mean, it works sometimes. But, try something different. Why not?
They went for the high percentage play.
Yeah, there you go.
Did you see what the play is called in their playbook?
What is it called?
It's called Boise.
Boise. I love it. Yeah, because of
the hook and ladder. Yeah,
we all remember that hook and ladder. Yeah, absolutely. From the Fiesta Bowl where they beat Oklahoma, big one.
You got it, Jared Sabransky, if I remember correctly.
Correct. Moving on to another team that choked today. The Steelers lost to the Oakland Raiders, and the Oakland Raiders are right up there with the Cleveland Browns on this show as our favorite teams to bash. And well, I guess we can't do that today because the Steelers found a way to lose to the Oakland Raiders.
Well, I picked the Oakland Raiders as my dark horse playoff team at the beginning of the year, and I think they're finally coming around.
Yeah, they're finally coming around, Danny. Yeah, just keep holding on. They
learned how to play without Khalil Mack. It just took them this many weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, we talk about, speaking of which, let's look at some of the biggest collapses we have in the NFL this year. The Panthers, I think, are the number one that comes to my head, mainly because I can't stand the Panthers, and so I'm really happy to see this. So, I mean, you got the Panthers, Packers, you could say that's a big one. Bengals, obviously, they've had injuries. We'll skip over
Fitzmagic and the Bucks.
Yeah, you could throw them in there too. We could skip that team that's in Georgia, and then the Redskins. I think you throw them in there as well. So I mean, who has had the biggest collapse this year? Who do you think?
It's got to be either the Panthers or the Packers. I mean, the Panthers were 6-2, and now they lost 4 or 5 straight. Yeah. I mean, they went from fighting for the NFC South to they're probably going to miss the playoffs. Yeah. And then the Packers, anytime you have Aaron Rodgers, top 3 quarterback in the league, you expect to make the playoffs, and they're not going to probably. And so both of those are huge disappointments.
Yeah, I agree with the Packers there. If you have Aaron Rodgers, you should make the playoffs. And I want to correct something earlier. I think we said Mike McDaniels, and we obviously meant Mike McCarthy earlier. So let's get that out of the way. But yeah, I would still put the Panthers first. I think they were going from possible Super Bowl sleeper, dark horse, whatever you want. And now they're not going to make the playoffs. And you look at some of these other teams, like the Bengals, injuries. AJ Green, Andy Dalton, injured. The Redskins, Alex Smith, injured. Colt McCoy, injured. And then the
Falcons,
Cowboys
Matt Ryan, injured.
Nope, Matt Ryan is not injured. But everyone else is injured. I promise you that. Deion Jones, Keanu Neal, Devontae Freeman. So they've had injuries. They've lost both their starting guards. I'm well versed in the Falcons' injury woes. So I think if you look at the Panthers, though, where's their excuse? I don't think they have one.
So here's the question. Is Ron Rivera on the hot seat?
I think people in Charlotte love Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron, and I don't think so. Danny, what do you think?
Okay. Here's the follow-up question. Is Cam Newton on the hot seat?
Cam Newton's always on the hot seat because here's one thing. I live with a Panthers fan here, my wife, and she loves the Panthers. Like, she's a diehard Panthers fan, but she doesn't like Cam Newton. And a lot of Panthers fans are the same. They don't like Cam Newton.
Well, I don't know.
Throwing is hard,
Throwing is hard. Throwing accurately is very hard. I remember the one game that her family allowed me to go to with them. He could not hit like the water in the ocean. I'm dead serious. This guy cannot accurately throw a football.
Yeah,
I'd take him to be the quarterback of the Bucks in a heartbeat.
Oh man, yeah. Famous Jameis not faring so well down there. All right, we're getting to our
Fitzmagic.
Yeah. I think you should go with Fitzmagic from here on out, but that's just me. All right, question of the week. The zombie apocalypse is coming. Danny came up with this one. What 3 NFL players do you want on your team?
Am I starting? I'll start.
Yeah, you're starting, yeah.
All right, first of all, I want Clay Matthews because he's huge and scary, but also he practices MMA as part of his training. So he's going to be my bodyguard. Then I want Ben Jones. He's ran the 10th slowest 40 time ever at the combine. So if I got to run away, I need someone slower than me so I can escape.
Plus he's big, so that's going to take a while for the zombies.
Yeah, he'll be a food for them for years, so that'll be good. And then second is this guy named Caro Santos. He's actually... Cairo.
All right, fine.
Cairo Santos?
I'm going. We're both going with Cairo, but Danny, sure, you go with Cairo.
I say names my own way. Anyway,
it's spelled exactly like the capital of Egypt. Throwing it out there.
Yeah, but pronounced differently. Okay. Anyway, he is the smallest by weight player in the NFL, and I just need someone that I can relate to on a human level. So it's my third pick.
Yeah. I think those are respectable. I would go Aaron Donald because I think that man is just like a beast out there. And tell me he's not going to help me out. I would also go with, oh man, what is his name? I just need a really big guy. Yeah, I like your Ben Jones pick. Just a really big guy that, it's going to take a while for the Zombies to feast on. Someone to sacrifice. And I think Andrew Whitworth, the left tackle for the Rams, he's the perfect team guy. He does whatever the team needs. And, he's a big guy too. So I think he would fit in well with the whole, getting eaten by zombies thing. And then I need someone fast, just to jump on their back and have them carry me out the rest of the way. So I'm going to go with Kenyon Drake. Why not? He's relevant right now. We discovered today that he's very fast, and he looks big enough to carry me. So, yeah, why not?
That's a good call.
I think I'd go James Harrison because that man is scary.
Yes.
I think I'd go Cole Beasley because not only is he fast, but he's also not the biggest guy, so he could probably get taken down by the zombies before me.
He's also smart. He's very smart, yeah.
Yeah, and then probably Earl Thomas because he is incredibly fast and, very strong in his own right, too.
And he might get injured along the way. And...
Exactly. Yeah. So if somebody's got to be thrown to the wolves, it's probably Earl Thomas.
There you have it. All right, Parker, we appreciate you coming on to the Flop Sports Podcast. We will continue on without him. We'll go into the NBA storylines coming up next.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. Yet another sponsored commercial break from whatever beer Preston's drinking right now.
I think I have Devil's Backbone. Nope. I don't know what I have today, actually.
Well, thank you for that generic beer commercial.
Hardywood. I have Hardywood today. Yep, there we go. Hardywood.
Love it.
There we go.
All right, first up, biggest story in the NBA. We already have a fired coach a quarter of the way into the season.
We already had a fired coach.
What's up?
We already had Ty Lue.
That doesn't count. He wasn't a coach. Get out of here. So the Bulls fired Fred Hoiberg, who wasn't much more of a coach than Ty Lue, but it has happened, and there's some good content coming out of it. But I guess, first of all, what are your thoughts? And then we'll dive into it real quick.
Kind of the same place where I was with Ty Lue. I think, why now? Like, why not earlier? Like, this Bulls team has not changed that much. But they have said that he kind of lost the locker room, and that's kind of the reason for the firing, which is a common excuse. Yeah. And this quote you have pulled out here is, it starts off, just like a nice little novel here. On an afternoon in late September, the Chicago Bulls head coach was fulfilling his media obligations prior to a preseason practice. As Hoiberg answered questions about his team, his lead assistant, Jim Boylan, called the players into a huddle at the other end of the gym, beginning practice without Hoiberg.
Yeah, it doesn't, you first read it and you're like, that's not a big deal. But then you're like, what if that happened to like Popovich or Brad Stevens, and you're like, they would never go for that. They'd be like, what are you doing?
my thought is, yeah, I think, sometimes, coaches, are busy with other things and they have their assistants, start practice up. I don't think it's a big deal. In this situation, I think kind of what they're pointing towards is Jim Boylan, who is now the head coach. Like, I think they just named him head coach, is taking the players kind of away from him and kind of pushing them away from Fred Hoiberg and kind of bringing them closer to himself. My thing here with this firing is, yeah, I think, the Bulls need to like kind of open it up and look around. I don't think Jim Boylan's anyone's answer as a head coach. But they followed this up with the worst loss in franchise history against the Boston Celtics. Yeah.
Yep. My Boston Celtics beat them by over 50 points, like you said.
56 points. 56 points. And so that's my thing is like, what are you getting out of firing Fred Hoiberg now? And that was my same thing with Ty Lue. What are you getting out of firing Ty Lue then?
Yeah.
You're getting just another lost season.
Yep. And it's also funny because reports came out today that after this loss, the players were debating boycotting practice because things are so bad in that locker room, I guess, which is crazy.
Man, we talking about practice? Not a game.
Yeah, definitely.
We've already talked about Allen Iverson in the show, so we got to bring that up.
Yeah, you gotta. Definitely, Bulls were a lost season and a lost cause before the season started. They might not exist by the end of the year at this rate, though.
Yeah, they're going downhill quick. It's one of the better franchises in the league historically. Now they're going downhill. A surprise trade. This one got me by surprise. As a Milwaukee is the team I kind of claim as one of my other teams. As we all know, I like Milwaukee. I like the Lakers. I can like both. Whatever. This trade kind of caught me by surprise here, but Matthew Dellavedova, John Henson to the Cavaliers for George Hill.
Hiccup.
For George Hill. Yeah, it's a hiccup. Get over it. For George Hill. And, the Cavs also got a first and second round pick. Sam Decker went to the Nuggets in this. Is it the Nuggets? Is that who else was in this deal? The Washington Wizards. That's who it is. What do you think about this trade? I love this trade personally, and I'll get to my reasonings in a second. But what do you think about this trade?
All right. I was surprised they gave up a first round pick for George Hill. Like, I know it won't be a high first round pick, but I was a little surprised by that. Having said that, I think the Bucks needed some depth on the bench, and they need a backup point guard other than Eric Bledsoe on the team. So I think it was a good move for them. Although personally, I would never give up a first round pick for George Hill.
See, you're looking at this all the wrong way. They didn't give up the first round pick for George Hill. They gave up the first round pick to get rid of Matthew Dellavedova and John Henson's contracts because those things were albatrosses. Like, those were some real bad contracts. And they give up the first round pick. They get rid of those two guys. They don't have to worry about their money now. And now, this offseason, they become a player in free agency with a lot of big names, as we've talked about before. They become a player. They might be able to go after a Kemba Walker now.
Kevin Durant.
And that's kind of Kevin Durant, sure. Fine. I'm not delusional. I know what the Milwaukee Bucks ceiling is as far as a free agent contender. And then also, if all else fails, it allows them to sign the guys they have right now back. Because that was a big question before. Because Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, Malcolm Brogdon, Brook Lopez, all those guys are free agents this offseason, and now they have the ability to just bring them all back and run back with the team if they need to.
No, that's a good point. I actually forgot / did not realize that Delly was still riding his wave from his first Cleveland Finals and getting overpaid on contracts. That's why I thought that would have that contract would have been over by now.
These contracts outlast for decades now, it seems like. 76ers having some issues. I don't know if you saw them against the Raptors the other night, but they did not look good. And it was a close game, but also the Raptors didn't look good. And the 76ers just looked really bad. But Joel Embiid is unhappy with his role since the Butler trade. Surprise, surprise there. Jimmy Butler comes in and takes touches away from other people and makes a young big man upset. Where have we heard this one before, Minnesota?
It is funny that this is exactly what people were worried about, and it has already happened.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess we got to give it some more time. It took a whole year for Jimmy Butler to completely tear down Karl Anthony Towns' self-worth. And Joel Embiid has a lot of self-worth, so it could take a decade. Speaking of someone that probably doesn't have a lot of self-worth right now, and that's Markelle Fultz, because it just keeps getting worse for the guy. Now he has a nerve issue in his shoulder that they're blaming his shooting on. I don't know if we'll ever know the real reason. I think, everyone keeps saying, this needs to be a 30 for 30, and I absolutely agree.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny his agents are coming out and saying, quote, people were saying it was a mental problem, and it is not. So it's like, first it's a mental problem, then it's a physical problem. I don't know. It'll be really fun to watch this continue to play out.
It's still a mental problem. And other mental problems. Last year, we all remember that David West quote where he said, "You have no idea what's gone on in this Warriors locker room." And now it's come out. We know it's Meningitis.
Yeah, this is not what I was expecting. I was like,
not at all.
Somebody
not
slept with somebody's wife, or,
yes.
Somebody punched somebody. No, it was just, I mean, this is serious, of course, but I would not have guessed that's what his quote meant.
Are we sure? Like, is this what we're buying? Like, this is what was happening?
Yeah, this might be a misdirect. I'm not.
That's what I think.
For sure.
Because I think, like, people on the Warriors know eventually this is going to get out because nothing stays a secret forever anymore. And so, all right, well, let's throw this out there, see if they take that. If they do, great, we can move on. If not, crap, we got to think of something else.
Yeah. Incredible. Yeah, so moving on to the Lakers, 2 potential players that they're interested in. First of all, supposedly LeBron is interested in Carmelo Anthony. Very interesting.
No, he's not.
Oh, your sources tell you?
Yeah, my source LeBron tells me that he's not.
Second of all, the Lakers supposedly are looking to trade with the Phoenix Suns to get Trevor Ariza. What do you think of that?
This one I'm actually interested in. It's crazy because Trevor Ariza signed that contract there this offseason to, to kind of get his big payday, and it's already not worked out with Phoenix, obviously, because they have been terrible this year, one of the worst teams in the league. I'm interested to see what do the Lakers actually have to give up to get Trevor Ariza.
Yeah, I'm seeing that they would give up Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, at least is the initial main part of the trade. They're trying to bring in a third team to do the trade as well.
And that would be great. That would be amazing. If that's all we had to give up, that's great. Because KCP is a 1-year rental. Trevor Ariza is a 1-year rental. So that checks out there. KCP might fit better on a younger team. And Trevor Ariza, is ready to play in the playoffs. Like, he's a playoff-tested, battle-tested dude. So I think this move would make a lot of sense. I don't know. They've talked about maybe a 3-team trade with this. I don't know what else they would have to give up. If they have to give up, something, of value, like a good young player or a high draft pick, then you got to pass on this immediately because it's not worth it. Yeah, but I like it if it's just, swap for swap.
Yeah, I think the most interesting part about it is it shows that the Lakers and LeBron are looking to make some moves and maybe aren't going to let the process play out this year as originally intended.
Yeah. We'll see. Well, Oklahoma City has kind of turned things around, and Paul George has been a big part of that. He's been on fire as of late, and Russell Westbrook has actually given him the ball, allowed him to touch the ball. So that's also a win-win there. So what do you think has kind of been behind this OKC, run now, where some people are saying maybe they're the second best team in the West?
Yeah, I mean, they're not the second best, but they're a streaky team, and when Paul George and Russell Westbrook are jiving, they're going to be really good, and in a couple weeks when they're not driving, they're going to be on a losing streak. They're going to be like, what's wrong with Oklahoma City now? But when they're at their best, both Russell Westbrook and Paul George are pretty good offensive players, but also very good defensive players. So they can go on a lot of streaks of winning when they're both clicking on this level.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I mean, but who would you say the second best team is in the West?
Oh, man. Yeah, I think that's what makes the West so interesting is it's such up for grabs right now, and we might get to the last 2 weeks of the season and still not know who the second best team is.
Like, I was listening to The Ringer earlier this week, and they were saying, like, maybe the Lakers could be the second best team. No. Yeah, that's weird.
That's wrong.
No, I agree with you. I don't think they are, but, like, that's weird. Like, that's how wide open the West is right now behind the Golden State Warriors. Last thing real quick, Derek Fisher coaching in the WNBA. Quick thoughts on this, 1 sentence or less.
I think it is great. What's your 1 sentence or less?
I hope he doesn't try to bring the triangle offense to the WNBA. That's all I'll say on that. All right, worst haircuts in the NBA. That's our question of the week here. I think we both have the same number 1.
Yeah. Technically, this person has cut their hair since, but it can't be ignored. Elfrid Payton.
He changed it, though. Like, he's changed it several times, and it's just been awful every time.
Yeah, and we cannot forget the time that his hair blocked his own shot one time, which is an all-time great moment.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, my gosh. Terrible. Another one that I'd throw out there is Iman Shumpert when he had the I don't even know what it's called, but it's kind of like the can.
Oh
haircut. Yeah, the can fro.
The Hey Arnold.
Like that, like Hey Arnold. Yeah. And it's funny because Danny, if you'll remember with me, we actually saw that haircut in person.
Oh, we sure did. New York City.
In New York City on 4th of July. In what year would that have been? Like 2014 maybe? Yeah, 2014.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, 2014. Right. 4th of July, we saw that haircut. We witnessed all of its terribleness. All right, who else you got?
Yep, my number 2 is Kyle Singler, who is great because you can pick any year from his entire life and his hair looks bad. And
he just looks like a rat. And he went to Duke, so I mean, if the shoe fits. If the shoe fits. Another one that I would have is Jeremy Lin when he went through this whole like mohawk phase. Like that was really bad. Like he spiked that thing up.
Yeah, he's had some very strange haircuts.
Ever since it's weird. Ever since we went through all the Lin sanity in New York, his hair's gotten worse since then.
Yeah, he's definitely experimental. That's a good way to put it. Number 3 for me, just as a current player, is Jeremiah Grant. I'm just not a fan of what he's got going on, but
yeah, obviously you're not because you can't even say his name right. It's Jeremy Grant.
No, it's Jeremiah.
Also, a shout out to in remembrance of Kyrie Irving's hair to start this season that made him play so poorly.
That hair was fire, though.
It actually didn't look that bad, but he cut it off and he's got his powers back. But who's always had his powers, Danny, is Tim Tebow, and we've got more about Tim Tebow coming up next.
All right, guys, thanks for sticking around through our traditional Brita filter water break. It's good.
Sound effects.
First up, we have Tim Tebow. We've got 2 wonderful moments, articles, stories about Tim Tebow this week. First of all, NFL. Tim Tebow says that he still watches NFL games and thinks, I can be doing this. Do you think he can still be doing this?
Tim Tebow can do anything that he puts his mind to, all right? That's the lesson at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yes, and we know...
But no.
But we do know that he can do anything he puts his mind to because an update, again, he's still in consideration to potentially make Major League Baseball roster this season.
How many more times are we going to talk about this story before we actually get to the season?
Oh, like 7.5.
Is 7.5 the over-under?
Yes.
All right, I'll go over.
I'm going to go way over.
Way over. That's a betting line. All right. Elon update, Danny. Phoenix not looking hot again this week. What happened?
Yeah, the Phoenix lost to the Spartans, which makes sense because they're the Spartans. And we have a terrible record this year.
This is Sparta. Yeah.
But let me do my traditional shout out this week. Caleb Hunter, guard for the Elon Phoenix. Really.
I'm gonna trust that you said his name right, because I'm not looking.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna trust that you said it right.
He made all his free throws. He knows what's up.
Awesome. All right, Rex of the week. I've already previewed some of mine. If you haven't seen that Rick Bucher article on Bleacher Report, highly suggest it. And so you can get all the facts because it's been disseminated out now, and so there's a lot of misconceptions about it. But go read it for yourself. And then my other one is also teased this earlier is Allen Iverson wrote an article about himself in the Players Tribune, as you typically would, and it's absolutely fascinating. And Danny, I'm actually going to read a little excerpt from it real quick, if you don't mind.
I would be honored.
You would be honored. Yes, you would. So he's with his teammate Larry Hughes. I don't know if you remember Larry Hughes in the NBA. He was a former Cleveland Cavalier. He also played in the Sixers with Allen Iverson. He was a guard. And he was coming out one day and he saw, Allen Iverson has this Bentley out there. And he's like, oh man, that's so nice. And like AI's like, yeah, you want it? You can have it. And so he basically just gives him this Bentley, because, Larry Hughes didn't know AI had like 5 Bentleys back at home.
Wow.
But here's the funny part. Here we go. Second funny part. This is Allen Iverson in the article. Larry takes my keys, throws his bag in the back seat, and he's out. And you have to remember, Larry's never had a ride like that before, so he's got the car going, he's feeling himself, and now he's probably thinking, all right, I'm taking the long way home today. You're driving that Bentley for the first time, you know what I'm saying, and you're not really trying to be on some highway. You're trying to be seen. Anyway, the next morning at practice, I spot Larry, and I'm like, well, bro, how was your ride? But he looks at me like he's seen a ghost. Man, you cold-blooded. I'm like, what you talking about? And Larry goes, okay, I see how it is. This is some rookie hazing. The boy looks like he hasn't slept a wink. What you talking about, rookie hazing? No gas in the tank. There's no gas in the tank. And so basically what happens is Larry ran out of gas deep into West Philly. Just him and the Bentley parked out in West Philly at night. And he spent half the night in there before someone was able to save him.
That's incredible.
And Larry thinks AI is like pulling a prank on him, and AI is like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And so that's my favorite part. That's the first story of the article. So obviously read further into it than that. But it's great because AI is just such an interesting player in the NBA. So definitely go read that. Danny,
That's really
what do
funny.
you have?
I need to become friends with Allen Iverson ASAP. Well, we love seeing how the new, tracking how fast someone can run in the NFL now. And they've compiled a list of the fastest runs. I would just like to shout out my Patriots. Devin McCourty went 22 miles an hour. So he went.
I did not. Yeah, I didn't think he was that fast. Wow.
He doesn't ever show it on defense, but if he gets an interception, he'll show it.
Awesome. All right, Instagram update. We just got 2 this week. I'll talk about this one. LeBron giving his shoes away to the ball girl at the Memphis Grizzlies game, and he basically said after the game he's seen this girl wear LeBron shoes to every game that he came to when he was there, and so just a really nice gesture by just overall one of the best players of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. I had oh man. I had a mini heart attack earlier this week as I watched Tom Brady pretend to retire on Instagram, so that wasn't fun. Thanks, Tom.
That's weird because I had a party all set up earlier this week. I don't know if they're related at all, but all right. Let's move on to our weekly sign off.
What are our characters? Maybe some Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, I like that. Yep. All right, let's go Aaron Rodgers.
All right, I start the timer.
Aaron Rodgers was in the huddle at practice. His coach, Joe Philbin, because obviously Mike McCarthy has been fired now, gives him a play call. We'll call it Oscar Banana Delta Bravo.
Aaron Rodgers mutters the play call over to himself over and over and over again. And all of a sudden he goes, Orange, Banana Peel, Delta, R2, 25 North, and audibles to a new play call.
Play call that, mind you, is not even in the playbook. The play proceeds, and Aaron Rodgers is sacked, breaks his collarbone, and the season's over.
The end. That was good.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much how the Packers would describe things. So, yeah. I mean, that's it. That's it for the Packers. That's it for us. That is episode 10 in the books, Danny. Wow. We reached 10.
Wow.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we will be back next week, of course, with more from the Flop Sports Podcast. We want to thank Parker for being on the show. And as always, we'll see you next time.
All right. Peace out, everybody.